This is the final video in the series of videos about PowerPoint 2013 Unit B, in which we're going to be adding a slide footer. After watching this video, you should be able to add footer text to slides. We're going to be taking a look on pages 40 and 41. In footer text, such as company, school, or product name, the slide number or date can give your slide a professional look and make it easier for your audience to follow your presentation. Slides do not have headers but can include a footer. However, notes or handouts can include both headers and footer text. You can review footer information that you apply to slides in the PowerPoint views when you print the slides. Notes and handout header and footer text is visible when you print notes pages, handouts, and outlines. Let's now take a look on step 1 on page PowerPoint 40, which tells us that we want to click the Insert tab on the ribbon. Then we want to click the Header and Footer button in the text group. So here's our text group and here's the Header and Footer button. Now the Header and Footer dialog box will now open. Now the Header and Footer dialog box has two tabs. We have a Slide tab and we also have a Notes and Handouts tab. The Slide tab is currently selected. There are three types of footer text, which is date time, slide number, and footer. The rectangles at the bottom of the preview box identify the default position and status of the three types of footer text placeholders on the slides. Of course, a quick tip as well, the placement of the footer text objects on the slide is dependent upon the presentation theme. In step 2, it tells us that we want to click the Date and Time checkbox to select it. The Date and Time options are now available to select. The Update Automatically Date and Time option button is selected by default. This option updates the date and time every time you open or print your file. On step 3, it tells us to click the Update Automatically list arrow. And of course, when we do that, we notice that we have all the different options for the way the data is written. And in this case, we want to click the second option in the list where it has the day of the week and then of course the date, the month, day, and the year. Now the day is added to the date and the month is spelled out. Of course, a quick tip, if you want a specific date to appear every time you view or print the presentation, that's when you need to click on the Fixed Date option button instead of the Update Automatically, because if I would open up this on a different date, this would change automatically. Next, on step 4, it tells us that we want to click the Slide Number checkbox, which is right here, and then we want to click on the Footer checkbox. Next, it tells us click the Footer text box, and we want to type in your name. So I'm going to type in my name here. And of course, the preview box now shows all three footer placeholders are selected. And of course, very difficult to see, but it just shows they're highlighted in black. That's on there. That is where those placeholders are going to be at. So if I would deselect one, you notice that the little bitty white box is right there. And of course, when I select it again, that white box is filled up. So this just shows you just some of that information where it's going to be located at on the preview slide and not really on the main slide and the specific text. Next, on step 5, it tells us that we want to click on the Don't Show on the Title slide checkbox. And of course, when we click on that, and selecting this checkbox prevents the footer information that you've entered in the Header and Footer dialog box from appearing on the title slide. Next, on step 6, it tells us to click the Apply to All button. And of course, the dialog box will now close and the footer information is applied to all of the slides in your presentation except the title slide, and that's because we clicked that little checkbox that says Apply to all of them except for the title slide. Next, on step 7, it tells us that we want to click the Slide 1 thumbnail, go back up to the top here, and then we can take a look and see that there is no footer information. Now we want to go through and click the Header and Footer button in the text group again. And on this time, of course, the header and footer dialog box will now open again. And now we're going to click on the Don't Show on Title Slide checkbox to deselect it. Then we're going to click the Footer checkbox and then select the text in the footer text box, which should be your name. And we're going to replace this in step 9, in which we're going to type in once in a lifetime travel experiences. And once we have that, we're then going to click on just the apply, not the apply all, because in this case we're wanting this just to show up on the title slide. And this is how you can make it appear just only on the title slide but not every other slide. So we're going to click on the apply, and of course notice that right here on the footer of the slide there is the once in a lifetime travel experiences. It now appears and says only the text in the footer text box appears on the title slide, and of course clicking apply applies the footer information just to that current slide. Now if you clicked apply to all in this step, click the undo button on the quick access toolbar and then repeat steps 7, 8, and 9 again, but this time only clicking on apply, not apply to all. Once you have that, just click on a blank area of your slide, make sure that you save your presentation, and now you're ready to submit your presentation onto course sites, so be sure to go ahead and upload this presentation as well. Now finally, on page PowerPoint 41, it talks a little bit about creating superscript and subscript text. And the way I always try to remember these is that Superman flies up in the air and submarines swim underneath the sea. That's the best way I always try to remember that, because superscript is the little numbers that go up above the numbers. It's the little small tiny numbers that are up above, while the subscript goes underneath it. And you may need to use those if you're potentially maybe making a presentation for mathematics or maybe for a science paper, and you need to have, you know, maybe like H2O on there, or maybe need to have an exponent or something. But superscripts or subscript text is a number, figure, or symbol or letters that appear smaller than other text and is positioned above, below, or at normal line of text. A common superscript in the English language is the sign indicator next to numbers, such as first or third. So the ST or the RD on there would be a common superscript. Other examples of superscripts are the trademark symbol, which would be a TM on there, or a copyright symbol, which is the C with a little circle around it. Now to create superscript text in PowerPoint, you select the text, number, or symbol, and then press the Control, Shift key, and the plus key all at the same time period. So once again, that is Control, Shift, plus all at the same time. Now probably the most familiar subscript text are the numerals in chemical compounds and formulas, for example H2O or CO2. To create subscript text, select the text, number, or symbol, and then press Control equals at the same time. So your Control key and your equal key at the same time. Of course, to change superscript or subscript text back to normal text, just select the text and then press Control and spacebar. And that concludes the series of videos about PowerPoint 2013. You're ready to move on to the assignments.